Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 o'clock and time for yet another meeting that is another special meeting. We've had lots of meetings lately. And this is to review the community well-being bursary presentations. We had a full afternoon yesterday, and we're looking forward to another full afternoon today with people presenting to us on their requests for bursary funds. I think we'll start the meeting with our land acknowledgement, and I'll call on Councillor Uhrig to read it for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters.
And now I'll just call on everyone to join me for a moment of silent reflection on today's business. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Yes, Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
Your worship, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. At the appropriate time, I will declare an interest on the two matters from Rotary and the one from the Golden Heirs.
And Councillor Uhrig.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will be declaring for the Meaford Culture Foundation.
Oh, yes. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kentner, and I will be declaring on the vote for when we go for Bogner Hall.
Yes. And Councillor Forder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if this applies, but because my wife is the community outreach director for the Culture Foundation, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to declare interest on that, unless anybody can tell me otherwise. Thank you.
Martha, do you have a comment on that?
Thank you.
Sorry, Margaret.
The only comment I would make is that it's at the councillor's discretion. So if
Yes.
it's felt that an interest should be declared, then that's it.
I really doubt that it is a conflict, but at any rate, you suit yourself. And just to explain to everyone, I don't think we're going to reject anyone from the horseshoe during the presentations, but when we come to a discussion on a specific request for funding, anyone who has declared an interest will take a chair on the other side of the horseshoe and not participate in the discussion. I think that's our plan. And also, I'll just comment quickly. Yesterday, we had about a 10-minute presentation from Clerk Matt Smith outlining the whole process, but I think everybody who's here today is familiar with it. And so we're going to proceed with our presenters. And I'll just ask you, Margaret to turn the microphone on at the podium. And when you come to the podium, please adjust the mic so that you can be best heard, and give us your name, please. Okay. And our first presenters then will be from the Sweetwater Music Festival. Are they here?
So we haven't seen them yet. We've just gone to see if we can get a hold of them.
I beg your pardon.
I've just asked Alex to see if she can get a hold of them, as we don't see them. So
Okay.
I do believe we have the Georgian Bay Coyotes and Viva Variety here. So two of the four are present right now.
Okay, so I'll call then on the spokesperson for the Georgian Bay Coyotes Track Club.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow councillors. My name is Steve Leary. I'm here representing the Georgian Bay Coyote Track Club. We are a not-for-profit club that was organized 13 years ago in order to provide quality coaching in middle and long distance track. The original head coach, Kevin Hooper, retired in 2020, and I've been the head coach of the club for the past 3 years, and I'm with the club now for 8 years, as I have 2 children in the club, and my wife is the assistant head coach. We are unlike any other track club in Ontario that is registered as part of Athletics Canada and Athletics Ontario, as well as the Minor Track Association. We are very not-for-profit, and we have the cheapest fund, the cheapest registration of any club in Ontario. For returning members, we have a registration fee of $125 only, and that includes insurance for the entire year, as well as covering all race fees and association fees. This is about half of what is required in order to run the club for the year. But my personal belief and Kevin Hoover's personal belief before me was that we need to keep the costs as low as possible in order to encourage the entire community to participate in this sport. This includes the most marginalized and low-income families, as well as those who can afford. We don't ask those who can afford to supplement the others as well, as the club actually goes out and tries to find additional sources of funding, such as this community well-being bursary or donations from the community. We are recognized as one of the top 10 middle distance clubs for youth in Ontario, which is a lot to be said because there are teams from just about every major city throughout Ontario. There's Mississauga and North York and Brampton, Burlington, London, Kitchener, and all these clubs. And our little town of 5,500 people is consistently ranked amongst the tops with them. The reason why I'm here and asking for funding in particular are for three reasons. The first one is that each year we host our annual cross-country race. We've now hosted 10 events, and this upcoming year will be our 11th event, in which we invite all elementary school-age children in the area to participate in this race. Through this race, we are encouraging physical activity in elementary students. It's been well proven that children who are active have better emotional and social and physical well-being. They tend to stay away from drugs and alcohol and those other things as they get older. And that is one of the biggest visions of our club, is to be able to encourage people to have those connections to society, have those connections with their friends, and to be able to stay out of trouble because of it. So we have about 400 people, 400 youth each year come in to run this event, and we need to be able to afford the costs such as the porta potties, the insurance, the race bibs, the paint to mark the track, the sawdust, and those things. And it typically costs in the neighborhood of $800 to $900 to host this event. We do ask for a small donation from those who participate, but it is seldom enough to actually cover the costs of hosting the event itself. The second reason I'm asking for funds, or the club is asking for funds, is because each year we do an annual track cleanup. The school water board, while they cut the grass, they essentially ignore the rest of the athletic field, including the jump pits and the track area. So our club will weed the track, we will till the jump pits, we will bring in new loads of sand, and in the past we have also painted the track to show the lines again. That was actually something that was done this past weekend, but only the start and finish lines were repainted, as we really didn't have the funds to do the entire track lanes, and we weren't sure about what is going to be happening with the track in the future. But we did incur expenses of about $250 this year as a club in order to be able to fix up the track for the community's use. The other reason that we are asking for funding this year is because the Coyote Track Club has actually started a free soccer program in Meaford. This started last year, in which we invite any youth age 7 to 16 to come to the athletic field on Thursday evenings to participate in pickup soccer. The way it ran last year was that my wife and I supplied all the balls to participants, but we only had about a dozen balls, and by the end of the season we had about 30 kids showing up. So we would like to be able to afford to purchase some additional balls to be able to teach skills and drills and give the community an opportunity to come out and be active. And this program is run from the beginning of May through the end of August, and will continue this year as well. And hopefully we'll be able to continue it in the future. I'm really positive about the future of the Coyote Club. We currently have about 60 athletes aged 7 to 16, including some of the best runners in the province. But our mandate is not necessarily to make good runners. It is to offer a family atmosphere, quality program in which the kids can learn, they can become friends with other runners, they can share those experiences, and they can become part of a thing, something that is bigger than themselves. If there's any questions, I can take those.
Thank you, Steve. Questions, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you very much, Steve, for your presentation. I'm really excited that you are attempting a resurgence with soccer in this community that has been lacking for a very long time. And I'm curious to know, is it your hope that the Thursday night skill and drill sessions will evolve into a full soccer league again in this community?
We have struggled in the past with recruiting volunteers. It is certainly very difficult these days, especially to find people who are qualified and certified to be able to coach these things. I myself have gone through the NCCP, the National Coaching Certification process, to become certified in soccer as well as run, jump, and throw programs. So this is the reason why I've essentially taken over the Coyote Club since Kevin left. We're not foreseeing it becoming a larger program like the Blue Mountain Soccer that was in Meaford probably 7 or 8 years ago. It's still, that program is still run out of Thornbury, but we are simply offering an opportunity for kids to come out and to run and to learn some skills and drills. And right now this is run solely through my wife and I. And we are essentially running the Coyote Club about 4 days a week. So at this moment, I'm not foreseeing it to become too big a program just because of the time constraints that my wife and I have.
Thank you for doing what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions for Steve? Okay, well, look, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for the work with the Coyotes. I think it's extremely important and valued, and hope we are able to help you out.
Great. Thank you very much.
So I believe the next presentation then will be from Viva Variety.
Good afternoon, Mayor Kentner, Deputy Mayor, and councillors. We are from Viva Variety. Thank you so much for having us here today. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Cassie McKell. I own Lowdown Bar in Collingwood. It's a restaurant that's been open since 2019. I'm also the social events coordinator for the Rainbow Club of South Georgian Bay, and I've been doing that position for about 3 years as well.
Hello, and I'm Erin McAndrew. I'm director of EM Creative Productions. I have over 15 live shows, both digital and in person, sort of under my belt. Cassie and I both grew up in Collingwood, and I'm really grateful to call Meaford home now. I'm a dance educator with over 25 years experience, both internationally and locally. I've been an ambassador for Sharing Dance, which is a flagship community program of the National Ballet of Canada, making dance free and accessible to all. I've had a diverse training and international experience that has given me a really deep appreciation for a multitude of cultures and arts. So let's get into what Viva Variety is. Viva Variety is a collaborative arts showcase where emerging artists and seasoned performers unite to create, engage, and entertain. So what we're doing is we're putting together a showcase where, you'll see all kinds of art, a variety show. You'll see poetry, you'll see music, you'll see dance, you'll see singers, you'll see all kinds of different art forms represented. And at our core, we have summarize our values to 4 main pillars. V is for variety of art forms, variety of artists. I is for inclusion and diversity. So representation matters, especially in the arts. V is for visibility of marginalized groups and creating a safe space. A is for accessibility for community members and artists alike.
So I'm just going to give you a little rundown of our past and what we've done and accomplished so far. So Aaron and I came up with this idea for Viva Variety about a year ago. It kind of came under our, it came to our minds when we realized that there was a lack of performance space available in Grey County, Simcoe County, and surrounding areas. So we thought we would create this show and give people a spot to perform. So we produced our first show in November of 2022. That was at the Simcoe Street Theatre in Collingwood, and we did 2 sold-out performances. There was a wait for more tickets. It was, the audience loved the show. It was thrilling, and we had such a positive feedback. We knew that we had to grow this and keep it going. This past January, we did register as a non-for-profit organization so that we could continue developing our path there for the organization. And currently we are producing 4 shows this upcoming June, again at the Simcoe Street Theatre. That'll be June 16th and 17th. And we do have a cast of 25 plus entertainers who are already confirmed to be participating. And next we will be looking at doing a show here in Meaford this upcoming fall.
So we are really seeking, your support in creating an annual inclusive showcase here in Meaford. The Meaford Hall is an incredible venue, and I think being able to offer that level of professionalism to emerging artists is a really unique opportunity and something that this community can offer. We're thinking of it as a sort of an investment of like planting seeds for the future of this cultural artistic landscape of our community. And those seeds are emerging artists. They're the emerging artists who live here. And without, fostering these opportunities to perform specifically, those seeds cannot flourish.
So the funding is specifically needed to work with the entertainers. What we do is we pay every entertainer an honorarium. We believe that these artists have dedicated sometimes their entire lives to their art form, endless hours of time, rehearsals, money on costumes. So we do make sure that we are paying everyone an honorarium, and with 25 plus entertainers, this is easily our biggest cost. And in addition, our ticket sales is something that we strive to keep as low as possible. We do want it to be an accessible show for the community. Our past show was a $15 price, and we're looking at $25 for this one, but that's really as high as we'd like to make our tickets, because again, we want this to be affordable to the community so everyone can attend and be inspired by these artists.
Viva Variety is exceptionally aligned with the Meaford Wellbeing Plan in that we believe, creating safer, stronger, and healthier communities are the pillar of our core values. For us, creating the safer communities is, creating safe spaces. We're emphasizing equity principles, giving priority to BIPOC individuals, creating a safe space for the LGBTQ2S+ community to come and showcase their art. Is part of creating that safe space. For Stronger, we're promoting understanding and empathy. We are amplifying marginalized voices. And as far as healthier, we're creating community connections, and sharing our art form is just integral to the creative process. And this in turn creates, not only physically healthier, but mentally healthier community members.
Meaford has established itself as a leader in tourism, recreation, and community activities. Taking an active role to build a vibrant and inclusive arts community is the responsibility of us all. Viva Variety's innovative approach to community engagement, while focusing on highlighting artists that may experience marginalization, fills a unique gap in the local artistic space. We believe inclusion must begin at home. It is important that rural communities provide a space for performing arts. We seek to provide this important opportunity here in Meaford. So to summarize, I'm just going to go over our core values one more time. So V, variety of art forms and artists.
I, inclusion and diversity.
V, visibility of marginalized groups.
A, accessibility.
We thank you for your time and consideration, and hope that your visions of a safer, stronger, and healthier Meaford align with ours of Viva Variety.
Thank you very much, Kathy and Darren. Questions? Councillor Euring.
Thank you, Your Worship. Great presentation. Thanks very much. I'm the arts advocate, so I'm a big fan. So I'm curious. So you did a couple of shows at Simcoe. Where is Viva based?
I'm in Collingwood, and Aaron's here in Meaford. So we would love to see it here in both areas. We would love to do maybe 2 shows annually, one in Collingwood and one in Meaford, and keep it here in this area.
Excellent, because I'm I'm a big proponent of collaboration. I think the communities all in the Georgian Bay area need to kind of work together for arts centric, bring tourism to the whole area. So that's good.
Yes.
And yeah, Meaford Hall, if you are planning that, I would advise talking to them soon because the fall and winter
busy
season
season,
fill
yeah.
up quickly.
Absolutely.
The other thing I would just recommend is, I don't know if you've talked to the Meaford Culture Foundation about potential small funding as well, because that's another organization that does look at seeding exactly the kind of initiatives you're pushing. So
Okay.
that would be another potential avenue. I noticed in your presentation or your application that you had already secured a number of funding avenues. That'd be another one you should look at.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Mayor Kettner, and thank you, ladies. Great presentation. We know much more about Viva Variety than we did 10 minutes ago, which is a benefit. You mentioned, or in the literature we have, roughly 25 entertainers, and it mentions a number of different types of acts, musicians, dancers, acrobats, comedians. Would we expect to see them all in a presentation at Meaford Hall, or a great many of them?
Yeah, I think, it really is dependent on who applies for every show. So yes, I would say you could expect to see a great variety and or most, if not all, of those art forms that were listed. But again, it's really just it's a matter of what artists hear the call and answer the call to be part of the shows.
Okay, thank you. So it's a variety show.
It's a variety show, and it's quite exciting.
I go back to the days of Ed Sullivan. So
Yeah. Well,
I don't think Ed had any drag artists. I don't think CBS was quite into that. But no, I think it's a great variety, a great diversiveness, and that's very important in today's world.
yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Councillor Forden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Cassie, Aaron, thank you for your presentation. Very innovative approach you have to entertainment, and I really like that. Are you willing to share what your expenses were for the performances without necessarily listing them individually, since that is the largest barrier to your production costs?
Yeah, I would say for our upcoming shows in June, so we're doing 4 shows, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. The overall entertainment cost, so that's for the entertainers and a host, is about $5,000. And then we're looking at production, marketing, promotion, $1,000, and then also rental space, which is $3,000 plus.
Okay, thank you. And is that for both of the sold out shows that you did last year, or was that per show?
This is coming up for our budget for in June, which will be 4 shows. So when we did 2 shows, it was less than that, but now we're expanding because the 2 shows sold out. So now we're doing 4.
Okay, so the entertainment cost at $5,000 is for all the shows. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much again. And we'll look forward to seeing something on the marquee and buying our tickets.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you so
time.
much for your time.
I believe, Margaret, that our speaker from Rotary is here. Do you want to set him up now, or did we got a little time, or?
I thank you, Your Worship. I think that both Sweetwater Music Festival and Meaford Theatre Company may be in attendance, and they are still in Group 1. So
Okay,
if we
let's
have
do that.
time, I think we should maybe proceed with Group 1 and then
Yeah, well,
move to the
perfect,
Rotary. I
okay.
think we'll have time for all of it. Thank you.
So is someone here from the Sweetwater Music Festival? Yes, please come forward, and you'll maybe want to adjust the mic and give us your name. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Vivian McCaffrey, and I'm chair of the Sweetwater Music Festival. So thanks for the opportunity to present today. For those of you who may not know Sweetwater, its origins are rooted in the municipality of Meaford. It was founded 20 years ago by Keith and Jean Medley, who had a family farm in Annan, to showcase the talents of a young musician, Mark Fewer. Mark went on to become the artistic director of the festival for 16 years, and then passed on the torch to violinist and composer Edwin Mazinga. The festival grew from a small, intimate concert on a farm to becoming a 4-day multi-venue festival that presents exceptional classical, jazz, traditional, and contemporary music through a spring concert, a 4-day festival, virtual performances, and enrichment opportunities for students. The historic Leith Church has always played a central role in the festival, except during the height of COVID, when all our concerts were held outside. And during that period, our Meaford venues included Coffin Ridge Winery, the Harbourfront Park in Meaford, and the front lawn of private residence in Annan. Our spring concert this year is this Friday at Leith Church, and there are a few tickets left, so I'd encourage anyone who likes classical music to come out. Sweetwater understands the municipality's commitment to promoting individual well-being. As our written submission states, listening to classical music supports physical and mental well-being by contributing to reduced blood pressure, stress relief, and brain power boost. Listening to music can have a direct impact on the listener's mood. All these attributes are heightened through live performances by the immediate connection to musicians and the music. The live performances we bring to the community provide the important opportunity for people to come together for a positive shared experience of enjoying exceptional music not otherwise available in the community. We bring musicians from across Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and in some cases, Europe. Sweetwater is mindful of the importance of music's contribution to well-being. Our festival program this September includes a free yoga and music meditation session. The arts play an enormous role in enriching our lived experience. The future viability of the arts depends on, to a critical degree, on fostering an understanding of and an appreciation for the arts among young people. And Sweetwater's education outreach initiatives are aimed at supporting school music programs that have lost considerable funding over recent years. Tomorrow, we're excited that our artistic director, Edwin Wazinga, and Juno award-winning pianist, Philip Chu, will be holding a workshop for Meaford students at the Meaford Hall. Sweetwater offered school workshops prior to COVID, and we're thrilled to be able to return to these important educational offerings. Sweetwater promotes young artists through its Next Wave program. Each spring, young artists audition to be one of the 4 visiting musicians at the September festival. They become integrated into the festival, and they also have an opportunity to perform. And we have one student who has performed twice and is coming back to sort of oversee and be the mentor for young musicians. She found it to be such a valuable experience. Sweetwater is committed to making our performances as accessible as possible. We've continued the free concerts introduced during the height of the pandemic. All our outdoor concerts were free. We did gracefully accept donations, but we didn't charge anything for those. So we've continued those free concerts. Not all our concerts obviously are, but we do include a program with a number of free concerts. And we also last year introduced a pay what you can ticket pricing policy, because we are also trying to make the programs as accessible as possible. Sweetwater depends on public grants, ticket sales, and individual and corporate donations. And like most arts organizations, we couldn't survive without public financing from all 3 levels of government. And so we are deeply appreciative of the funding support that we have received from the municipality of Meaford that's just wound up. They had a 4-year funding grant. We're hoping to increase our presence in the community and to grow our Meaford audience. We're thrilled that the final concert of our upcoming festival in September will take place at Meaford Hall, bringing together musicians who perform throughout the festival and a grand finale performance, followed by a celebratory after party in the lobby. Meaford Hall will fortunately or hopefully be part of our best festival venues in the future. So I hope you'll join us this September and attending the festival, and to celebrate the amazing accomplishment of the modest musical venture that started in a barn 20 years ago. And I also hope we can continue to count on the support of the municipality. Thanks.
Thank you, Vivian. Are there questions for her? Councillor Forder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Vivian, thank you for your presentation. I'm a big fan of classical music,
Great.
and I can attest to its mental health benefits as I listen to classical music when I'm doing mindfulness exercises. I do see here that you have requested funding from several other sources. Just curious to know if you've been able to secure any of that funding at this time.
We have in, I think, February, March this year, we had confirmed the Canadian Heritage Grant, I think around 10,500. Also the Ontario Arts Council for about the same amount. And we just heard on Friday that we did receive $3,000 from the Meaford Arts Foundation, which will help to support the workshop tomorrow. Yeah.
Councillor Yerg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you. Very great presentation, great initiative. How much inroads do you take with the GBCS, with the school?
Georgian Bay Symphony.
No, the school.
There,
With the youth programs, how much do you make money inroads in trying to work with the music program within school?
well, that's who's coming. We work with the teacher there. So the school, the music teachers or teachers in all the schools in Meaford were invited to come for tomorrow's presentation. And so, yes, we do have students coming from that school, from the main school in town to the concert tomorrow.
Do you do any actually in school programming?
I think prior to there's a hiatus during COVID because we
Right.
couldn't go into schools. And I moved into the region 4 years ago, so I'm fairly new to the area. My understanding is that there were some in-school presentations, but it's not like the musicians we bring aren't local. They're from outside. So it's difficult to schedule school performances during the festival in September. They did try to do that because it's beginning of the school year and the festival so intense. So what's happening tomorrow is our artistic director and Philip Chu are coming in for our spring concert on Friday at Leith Church. And so they're coming in a couple of days early. They're doing a workshop tomorrow in Owen Sound for students. And then they're doing another one, in Meaford tomorrow, and then in Owen Sound at the Harmony Center. So kids are getting bussed in to be part of that workshop. But that's really, we have an education outreach committee, which does work to try to foster connections. We've done videos. We've had musicians who've done videos that teachers can show in the classroom of what it's like to play a cello or a French horn or that kind of thing. And they talk about the importance of music and learning an instrument. But we're a small organization, so our potential for doing much more than the workshops that we're doing, like the ones tomorrow and Thursday, are limited.
Oh, that's great. Every little bit helps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
My question.
Oh, it has. Okay. Other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Vivian.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Is anyone here from the Meaford Theatre Company? Okay. Here we go. Come in, come in. And if you don't mind just giving your name.
Yes, I'm Kim Ransom,
Kim,
and I do apologize, but the email ended up in my spam, so I didn't get any notification of this until 20 minutes ago.
sorry
So
about
I'll
that.
just wing it as best I can, and I do apologize for that.
Well, the good news is you've only got 5 minutes.
Good, it's a short wing then. As you know, the Meaford Theatre Company has been part of this community in its various forms for hardly 20 years. Pretty close. And it's gone up and down in its popularity based upon number of volunteers, facilities, costs. But certainly in the last 4 years with your most generous contribution of allowing us to use Woodford Hall, we've had a major resurgence in the general interest of the theater company. We've been able to produce a number of super quality plays and productions. And we've been able to spend quite a lot of money in renovating the Woodford Hall from what was a rather rundown, musty place that most people didn't want to rent or use in any way to one that is in demand now. We've got rid of all of the mold and mustiness of the hall through a number of initiatives, painting, cleaning, scrubbing. We've increased the size of the stage, added an extra 12 feet to the depth of the stage, and created a new decking on the stage along with sound dampening underlay in order to allow us to house a much better production. Downstairs, we created a storage area for all of our set pieces, and we managed to get all of our wardrobe out of the town garage, which was quite extensive, and we built a wardrobe room downstairs that is, I won't say paralleling the Roxy, but certainly for us and our purposes, it's a really fabulous facility, and our wardrobe director is just tickled pink with what's there and what she's able to do with it now. Our plan for this year is to increase the what we call the green room downstairs, which right now is just an open space that everyone has to find a place to go and get changed in and in between sets. So we will increase that and add it to the end of the wardrobe room in order to allow that to happen. In the last year, we did a number of productions. We did Bench in the Sun, staged between April and May. We did the Ladies Foursome, staged in June. Guys in the Garage, we did in October. In Remembrance, we had a Remembrance Day for 2 shows in November. And we did a Youth in the Theater program, which added to what was the Kids in the Meaford Hall, which of course hasn't been in operation now since before COVID. We picked it up and said, "Oh, I just couldn't see, being an educator, not allowing kids the opportunity to be part of it." So we ran a 12-week program that actually stretched to 16 weeks last spring. And then in September, we began our preparations for the musical HMS Pinafore, which, as scary as it seemed to kids and me, we managed to pull it off to full houses for 4 performances. And then we offered it to the school age kids. 200 kids managed to see it free of charge in the afternoon. So it was a really busy season last year. This year, we started again with the kids, the youth in the Meaford in the Woodford Hall. And we had an additional 22 kids signed up for that. And we started in mid-January in an instructional program, same as last year, and ran it through, and it's ending in 2 weeks' time. So it's been a good run for them as well. We intend to offer at least 2 plays in the fall, one that is a children's play again, using the same children from the program, and an adult play, a Norm Foster as well. In total, in all of the plays and initiatives that we've undertaken, we estimate that we've put approximately $55,000 into the local economy. The nice thing about having a local theater group is that the money stays right here. Admittedly, some of that money is taxpayer dollars. Some of that money comes from the foundation as well, and ticket sales, and some private donors as well. But the nice thing is that it doesn't leave at the end of the production to, some production house in Toronto. It stays right here in the community. So all our sets are purchased here. Pretty much anything that we need or want is purchased here as well. In addition to that, it's an enriching environment for the kids and the adults. As a matter of fact, we just finished the Misanthrope. I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was a puppet play developed in Europe and brought over here with puppets that were made and developed in Europe and brought over through Mexico to here. And it was a huge hit, not necessarily monetarily with the number of crowds. It is a kind of scary proposition, a puppet play. But nevertheless, those that came thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was an experiment in cultural arts And we're really happy that we did it. And an interesting side is that 5 of the participants, 5 of the actors, 3 of which were lead roles, all came from graduating from the youth program. In addition to that, one of the youth programs also ended up in the light and sound room. And actually in the very last performance, she called the show. So in other words, she was in control of the control panels, calling the show for lights and sound. So these kids have all come up through the program that we've offered, and we're very, very successful. Any questions?
Yes, I'd just like to say, it's so good to hear that the role that the hall has played in the success that you're experiencing now. Questions for Kim? Councillor Forde?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kim, thanks for your presentation. It's impressive to see the variety of things that the theater company puts on. So you made a comment, you said about 55,000 went into the local economy as a result of building supplies for sets and things like that. What would be sort of your annual total expenses to run all of your productions? Do you have any figures?
You know, I've broken it down over all of the productions that we have. Can I say that when we were using Meaford Hall, because the question is always, why are you at Woodford and not at Meaford Hall? At Meaford Hall, a production cost for us was in excess of $10,000. That's rehearsal space, that's time on the set. We are now at approximately $2,400 per production. So last year we did 5 productions, 6 productions at $2,000 to $3,000 a production. Sort of gives you an idea that we're up around $15,000 to $20,000 plus the rental of the hall. Yeah, I would say we're probably around $20,000 to $25,000. No, I keep stretching it, but I'm just at the top of my head here. Sorry.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. Not a question, just a comment, Kim. I'm tickled pink that the Woodford Hall is getting used so much and so well. I'm really happy that it's turned from building that's really wasn't being used to what you're doing now. And
thank you.
Congratulations and good luck.
And I invite anyone to come for a little tour. It really has changed considerably if you haven't been out. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'll take you up on the offer for a tour, Kim. And
Oh, absolutely.
And I certainly agree with Councillor Bartley's comments. I just wanted to ask you, your request is $8,000.
Yes.
You mentioned that you were hoping to do some renovations to the green room in the basement of Woodford Hall. I just wondered if you could expand on that a little bit. Would you expect that would take that amount of money, or were you hoping to also have some funds to support your operating expenses?
The expansion of the wardrobe room / green room, we haven't costed it out yet, but I would anticipate, based upon what the wardrobe room cost us, it would probably be close to $4,000, I'm guessing, but probably close to that by the time we complete that. And some other alterations downstairs in terms of the storage of wood, and it's just piece by piece, we're trying to improve that. We're also trying to improve our lighting and sound. It's a pretty antiquated light and sound. That's all we could afford at the time. And as we grow and develop, it's nice to be able to think ahead and put some money aside to be able to buy some new lights. We're really limited with that and with sound. And our sound light board is just pathetic. But it's what we have, so it's what we use. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at trying to develop. But in addition, for the 4.5 months that we have the kids, we charge them $25. And they also get a pizza party at the end. And so it's heavily subsidized by everything else that we do. And if you are so generous as to grant us this money, then part of that would also certainly go into working to offset costs with the kids.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, Kim.
thank you.
All
Once
the
again, I
best.
do apologize for being.
You did very well.
Thanks.
Are we ready to move on to the next group and to make the changes to accommodate our speaker for Rotary?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would suggest if we could just take a 5-minute recess. I'm just going to move the podium out of the way and make
That's
some.
never hard to do.
Okay, thank you
So
very
we'll
much.
recess for 5 minutes. So we are reconvening our council meeting this afternoon, reviewing community well-being bursary presentations. And we have two presentations coming up now from the Rotary Club. And I'll call on who will be speaking for the first presentation. And if you just give us your name and go right ahead. You have 5 minutes.
We did actually prepare, well, we had two applications, but we've kind of combined them into one for our whole club. My name is Mark Calvert, and with me today are Sonia Glass and Sherman Wood, and we are all members of the Rotary Club of Meaford. Mayor Kentner, Deputy Mayor Keaveney, members of council, thank you for providing all presenters with the opportunity to apply for the Meaford Wellbeing Bursary. When one looks at Meaford's Wellbeing Plan, it's clear that we're very aware that being part of a community can have a positive effect on mental health and emotional well-being. Community involvement provides a sense of belonging and social connectedness. It can also offer extra meaning and purpose to everyday life. Over the years, the Rotary Club of Meaford has supported many individuals, organizations, and causes in our community. The residents of Meaford have benefited and will continue to benefit from the public spiritedness of Meaford Rotary. I watched the live streaming of yesterday's presentation, and it was very evident to me that these presentations are an amazing showcase of the support groups, events, and activities that we have going on in our community already. And to quote Councillor Urick, if I may, this is very cool. Everybody comes in with their amazing stuff. Now, if these presentations don't provide knowledge of existing services in our community, I don't know what would. I also came to the realization that we have established quite a network of collaboration in Meaford with so many of the presenting groups already supporting each other in various ways. An essential means of us getting the word out is to use promotional media strategies. These include updating our website, building and managing social media accounts, and advertising through radio, newspaper, posters, and flyers to promote public awareness. We will then evaluate and interpret the results of our media efforts to help us move forward. Rotary's Wellbeing Bursary application, as I said earlier, consists of two components. The Municipality of Meaford annual spring cleanup, which we like to call Baggy Day. And then we have the Rotary House, where we currently operate the Rotary Thrift Shop, as well as housing the food bank and a few other local services. Both Rotary House and the Baggy Day event are important investments in our community's safety, health, well-being, and future that directly tie in with the 5 focus areas of the Meaford Wellbeing Plan.
In early 2018, a subcommittee of the Economic Development Committee was formed. The First Impressions Committee was charged with coming up with ideas to make Meaford a more welcoming community. The team quickly concluded that we needed to address our litter challenge. From this decision, our mascot, Baggy, was born. In our application, we have outlined why Baggy has such a positive impact upon our community, our businesses, our environment, and our community members. Many of you have joined us over the years, and thank you for that, and felt satisfied as you looked back and saw the value of what you had done and felt the camaraderie of others at our pickup and drop-off center. You've seen many service clubs and groups gather to work together on this effort. You've seen families bring their young children to model for them the value of community participation and volunteerism. What you may have also noticed is that this event is helping us to create a cultural shift in our community. People are noticing how clean our streets are, and they're picking up litter as they walk. And by the way, they value the town's response to requests for strategically placed garbage cans. We hear comments from people as we do this, thanking us for caring. But we're not done. Rotary is committed to continuing our leadership in this effort. Thank you for your past support, and we ask you to hang in there with us.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking our staff and over 40 volunteers who have been putting staggering number of hours into the operation of our Rotary thrift shop. It is these people, along with many of our guests and donors, who have made our Rotary thrift shop a huge success right from the time it first opened its doors back in December. Rotary House provides a safe, welcoming, social environment where staff and volunteers, guests and donors know they are making an important contribution to our community well-being and feel a good sense of belonging. It is a place where people can relax, smile, laugh, and have lots of fun. While the creation of the thrift shops have originally been for lower income individuals, clients now include those from middle income households that can't keep up with the inflation. Also, the steadily rising popularity of the appeal of thrifting has brought individuals of various ages and social economic backgrounds to the thrift stores. This has all been eliminated by the stigmatization attached to the thrift store shopping. It is essential for us to make sure our staff and volunteers at Rotary House receive specialized safety training, which will provide educations in things like doing lifts and transfers, fire and emergency evacuations, and getting first aid and CPR certifications. With the current need for more locally available community spaces, we hope to expand our use of Rotary House by offering other services that address mental health and youth incentives. For example, we plan to provide a safe, secure, and supportive environment where women and children in our community can receive the necessary assistance to deal with specific issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark, Sherman, and Sonia. Questions for them around the horseshoe? You must have really satisfied everyone. Very complete, and thank you for combining the two applications. So I think we obviously have a good understanding of what you're asking for, and just thank you. As I said in a recent talk to your club, we have no more important partner than the Meaford Rotary Club. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we'll take a moment for people just to regroup a bit because we need to move the podium here. Okay, so our next presenter is from Christchurch Anglican. And we have another trio. Let's get the microphone on. Yeah. Great. Go right ahead, gentlemen.
Okay, for the record, my name is Francis Richardson, and I'm a lay reader and the treasurer at Christchurch. And all with me today is John Howard, who is also a lay reader, but he's also the property manager at the church. And with us is Father Brendan Bedford, who is our priest and assistant curate. And he joined us just a year ago in our work that we're doing at Christchurch. We thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. And like Mark before us, we want to thank the Meaford Council for from all the groups for your recognition of just how important it is to have well-being in our community and providing this bursary program to be able to assist with that. Our mission is Christchurch is committed to live a generous and a loving spirit in all of its relationships. We have been doing that at Christ Church for over 160 years. The physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of our parishioners and of our community have always been foremost. And over the last number of years, though, the thrust has been essentially to reach out into the community as much as have the community come to us. We support the school's breakfast programs, the migrant workers and their families, both when they're here during the season or in the Caribbean where their families are. And in recent years, our community meals program has become very, very important. Before COVID, we had a weekly breakfast on Mondays and a monthly supper on Fridays. During COVID, we delivered the meals to the homes as much as was possible. And these programs were enhanced by the arrival in our community of Gilles Taché, now Reverend Gilles, and we had begun the breakfast program again. All these programs are at no cost to the recipients. And a strong part of the program is not only the food, but also the fellowship that these people are able to get in coming and sitting down around the table. Donations made by people who could, businesses, and you yourselves allowed us not only to put on these programs, but also to give back to the community. Since 2017, when we started these meals programs, Christ Church has donated over $10,000 through community programs here in Meaford. The Meaford Food Bank, the schools, Meaford Community Living, My Friend's House, Own Sound Women's Center, Big Head River Food Grains Project, Meaford Long-Term Care facilities, and there are others as well. And this past Shrove Tuesday, so after 70 years of providing a pancake supper at the church, we took it one step farther. In conjunction with the Meaford Ministerial Association, we combined with 7 other churches here, local churches, and 200 people were fed at Knox Presbyterian Church. The free will donation of that event was over $2,300. And all of that money was given to the Meaford Food Bank. The reason we're making this application for this bursary is because we want to do even more. Health and safety standards, accessibility standards require an upgrade, as we are all aware, to the equipment that we have and the space that we provide. And that's a whole different ballgame of funding. We meet all the standards now and have passed all the inspections necessary, but we'd like to be able to do more with more people. And that requires more equipment. We at Christ Church are also committed to a zero waste standard. We don't allow one-use utensils or dishes, and even compostable dishes and utensils are expensive, and even they provide some waste. We have all sorts of dishes and utensils at the church, but they require washing and drying. And that requires more volunteers and a turnaround time factor. Realistically, we need a commercial washer sanitizer. And that's in the $10,000 range. These are the types of things that we need your bursary program to support. Now, Christ Church will continue to serve the needs of its parishioners and its community members in any way we can, but with your support, we can do even better. So Father Brendan or John or myself will be happy to answer or to elaborate on any of this or answer any questions that you have. And I do thank you for your time and your interest in us as well as the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or I guess Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you very much. as a church family, you outreach and you embrace and you take in and you ask no questions. You simply give. So thank you.
Thank you. We're only following what we were told to do.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. So the breakfasts, are they back on Mondays, and what
Yeah.
time are they
The
served?
breakfast, and I have some posters here I'll leave with you, and they are on the website as well too, but they start at 8:30 in the morning and they go until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And
Put up posters around town as well, and we're just trying to get the word out in any way, shape, or form.
Other questions? It looks like you've answered all our questions, so thank you very kindly, gentlemen. And do we have a representative for the Meaford Culture Foundation? I think I recognize that gent at the back.
Today, I am here on behalf of the Meaford Culture Foundation. We are requesting funding for our community outreach program, which plays an outsized role in providing Meaford residents of all ages, abilities, and socioeconomic backgrounds with opportunities to experience arts and culture programming. In 2022, we funded 14 initiatives, some of which include the following: a summer arts camp subsidies through the municipality of Meaford Recreation Department, the Pursuits Film Festival at the high school, Friends of Meaford Library Summer Concert Series, acting lessons and play presentation through the Meaford Theatre Company, the Big Canoe Project Film Festival, live theatre programming at Meaford Hall for local youth and school groups, entertainment for the first annual Christmas on the Bay, the Meaford Dragons event, and much, much more. In 2023, we have already committed to funding over a dozen initiatives, with more on the horizon. We will be supporting many of these same initiatives as last year, and we've also taken on many new programs. For example, at Meaford Hall this year, we're sponsoring some great events, including the Georgian Bay Symphony, which was sold out in April, the Sweetwater Music Festival, Miss Statman, which I suspect Kim just talked about, the play, and the March Break program for youth. Without the help of Meaford Culture Foundation, dozens of programs in our community would not be financially feasible. And without donors, bursaries, and grants, we would not be able to continue the important work that we are doing to keep arts and culture alive and well in Meaford. Outside Meaford Hall, MCF recently sponsored the Down to Earth Arts installation at the Meaford Library, which was well attended and featured 3 unique art installations for all ages. The programs and initiatives we either present ourselves or sponsor for smaller groups align with many of the priorities of Meaford's well-being plan, including foundations of well-being, increasing arts and culture events in Meaford keeps more tourism dollars coming into the community. This in turn markets Meaford as a happening place for people to live and work. Poverty and income. We provide funding that subsidizes camp costs, providing bursaries for low-income families to participate in music and dance lessons, and much, much more. In 2021, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, we funded the Singing Strings program. This initiative kept music lessons alive for students that were unable to participate in school music programs due to COVID restrictions. MCF also sponsors local school groups so that they can attend live theater events in Meaford Hall. Funding for these field trips ensures that all students can participate regardless of their ability to pay for the tickets. Support and programs for youth. The live theater programs we fund at Meaford Hall for school groups teach about important themes such as Indigenous issues, cyberbullying, and much more. We have supported many programs that focus on reaching youth from disadvantaged and at-risk backgrounds over the past decade. The demand for arts and culture-based programming and events is increasing in Meaford, and local organizers have very few options for funding and support. Investing in arts and culture has a positive long-term effect on the overall health and well-being of our community. Thank you for considering our request.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions?
No questions, thank you.
It looks like we've got the information we need. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we're likely in line for another short recess until our next group arrives. Okay, so we'll reconvene. And when would you expect this group, Margaret?
We had asked people to arrive about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes in advance. So I think maybe 10 to the hour we can start to see if some people are here. So I would
So we
expect
might have time for a walk outside.
I think we should.
Okay, in the sunshine. Alrighty, we're adjourned for a while.
Thank you.
Going to resume our session here. We took a break because of waiting on another group of presenters to arrive, but I think we're there. And this is actually the last group of presenters for the Community Wellbeing Bursary Program. And first on the list is Kids in the Meaford Hall Arts Society. Is there a representative here from them? If not, we'll just move along. The Beautiful Joe Heritage Society, Linda Stevens is here. Linda, if you can turn on your mic there, or Margaret will. And
technology and me don't always mix.
and you've got 5 minutes.
Okay, thank
Linda.
you. This will be very short. So I am Linda Stevens. I'm chair of Beautiful Joe Heritage Society. And as you know, Beautiful Joe Heritage Society is a registered charity. We have a twofold purpose, which is to promote and promote the message of Beautiful Joe, as well as Margaret Marshall Saunders. And the main theme of that is to be kind. The second part of our goal is to be stewards of Beautiful Joe Park. Excuse me. We have benefited from being on receiving a bursary in the past, and we appreciate that very much. It was able to move us into a different place where we could start doing a little bit bigger fundraising, which has been really wonderful. Nothing's really changed in our status, except that we still have the same expenses that are fixed expenses like rent and insurances and things like that. Excuse me. We do sell books, which unfortunately the books have gone up 30%, so that our fees will now have to be reflective of that in the future. And we do sell jewelry. One of our board members makes jewelry that we sell at fundraiser events. And we do have plaques for memorial plaques for pets in the park. And those are our main income fundraising things. I didn't bring my glasses over here, so it's hard for me to read that. Yeah, so we're mostly donation based, right? Now, saying donation based, just so we're upfront in saying this, we have had a big fundraising project that we've begun for the bridge. So that would be the accessible footbridge to Beautiful Joe Park from the Legion Park. That money is all in GICs and it's all tucked away nicely. It's not part of our operating funds, but I would just wanted to put that out there for you so that you're aware of that we do have those funds. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Sure. Questions for Linda? Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Linda, for your presentation. I'm thrilled to hear that you're working on the bridge project. I know that has been a dream of yours for a very long time. So it's exciting to know that that you're chipping away at the necessary funds to construct that. I did have a question in relation to the plaques. I've been asked, you mentioned that they are memorials for pets. Is it just for dogs, or can people with cats and other animals?
We even have a pig. Red is his name, and he's from Alaska. Yeah, so he's honored there as well. Yeah, so we have cats and dogs and guinea pigs, and I'm not even sure everything else, but I know there's a pig. So yes, there's lots. Yeah, we even have one actually for a society. I'm trying to remember offhand what it is, and I'm sorry I can't. I came from a different conference of a different topic, and now my head's not quite in Beautiful Joe. But yeah, there are opportunities. We also have 2 trees in the park that we've planted for different societies as well. So one is for the one we did for Gunter Newman. And the other one is I'm trying to remember the name of the society. The international language, which is Esperanto. There you go. Yeah, they have a tree there too with a plaque. Anything else?
Councillor Porter.
Hey, Linda, thank you very much for your presentation, and certainly appreciate how important the Beautiful Joe story is to the fabric of this municipality. And my understanding is that Beautiful Joe book was the first Canadian authored book to sell 1 million copies, which is pretty remarkable. Since the whole park sort of centers around this book and the costs of books have gone up, do you have any figures with regards to how much your society spent on Beautiful Joe books in 2022?
I just looked at that this morning, and I'm gonna say close to $1,000.
Other questions? I was kind of surprised that you know, as well as all the other animals, even the Easter Bunny made it into Beautiful Joe Park this year.
Yes,
And
everyone loves the Easter Bunny.
and I think that was a great opportunity for a lot of people who and families who have not maybe been to the park before to just discover how interesting it is and what a beautiful place it is. So it was great that you shared it with the Rotary Club.
Yes, and we love to do sharing because Rotary Club was part of our, well, they cleared the park initially, way back when it was Mr. Garvey had the park or the land. And yeah, we tried to do projects with everyone wherever we can. Yeah, and it was a good indication that we really need that bridge. There were so many people. Yeah.
I think that the park that will be developed across the road from across the river will probably, once you get people visiting that park and recreating there, I think it will, you know, make it almost impossible not to bridge the gap.
For sure. And my understanding is that sorry, but just ignore that. My understanding is that there'll be flush washrooms on the Legion side, which would make it very handy for people visiting Beautiful Joe Park as well.
So all that in a good future. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is maybe a duo from the Golden Heirs.
Yes. You are. Well, I've got something in here about that. Good afternoon, Mayor Kentner, Deputy Mayor Shirley Keating, and gentlemen councilmen. Thank you on behalf of the Golden Heirs Choir for the opportunity to be here to make this presentation today. It is my pleasure to introduce Sandy Pedler and myself, Verna Hindle, as fairly long-time members of the Golden Heirs, who are a welcoming and inclusive ladies choir committed to sharing our passion for music by performing biannual concerts as well as community events while continuing the tradition of supporting local community and school music programs, including a yearly bursary to a graduating music student. As well, we donate regularly from our concerts proceeds to local outreach programs. The Golden Heirs began in 1969 under the direction of the now late John Fox, a very well-known musician at the time. In 1974, the centennial year of Meaford, John led a local female teen choir, of which I was a member. And we were so excited when we knew we would be singing with the Golden Heirs for Meaford centennial events. This coming year, 2024, and I can't say it enough, Meaford will be celebrating 150 years. The Golden Heirs are proud to state this group has been part of Meaford's landscape for over 1/3 of the 150 years, a very remarkable accomplishment, even if I do say so. Over the years, we have been blessed with having teenagers and post-secondary students as part of our membership, some following in their mothers' and grandmothers' footsteps, or should I say, harmonizing voices. Prior to Sandy joining the choir, our group would often be presenting proceeds from our concerts to Sandy in classrooms she taught here in Meaford. Sandy was always humbled to have the Golden Heirs present the school with a check. It meant the school could purchase or refurbish much needed musical instruments, which otherwise students may not have the opportunity to learn or play these instruments until high school, and then even not then. And we also support the high school projects as well, music programs. We were very delighted when Sandy eventually joined the Golden Heirs with her many talents and willingness, especially when I call on her for assistance. We all need more Sandys in our life.
Thank goodness Sandy was and is a teacher who I know students adore, especially in music class. The Golden Airs concerts have delighted capacity audience at the Meaford United Church on the first Sundays of May and December. Our 50th anniversary concert held at Meaford Hall in 2019 had a waiting list of people wanting tickets. We also perform at local long-term care facilities and other venues and events following our regular concerts and hope to return doing so this December. Throughout the years, we've included young people in our concerts, some who dance, play musical instruments, as well as sing. We also have guest accompanists join us in various ways at our concert. Sunday, we were delighted to have a male voice and a fairly fun trio that he joined us, and that was a lot of fun. Knowing you've all read our submissions, we have stated how the choir will use the bursary. They are summarized at the bottom of the page 3 and do include the purchase of new music, which actually costs approximately $6 per member at least, as well as advertising. We would use it for concerts and for new members, to advertise for new members, and for our guest artists that we bring into our concerts. The well-being plans, the choir covers 3 of the 6 priority areas, and many of them we have presented just now and in our remittance. Through this presentation we have presented today, we have brought to your attention our ways we help and improve lives of the Meaford residents. My own singing voice is by no means one of the best voices of our choir, but I'm still accepted and proud to be part of the Golden Airs. I can say my heart sings with glee following our concerts to see the smiling faces in our audience, but no more so for knowing that that money we've raised at the door is going to go for school learning, for music, and for music programs in both schools, as well as for local outreach programs. But more than anything, this is what keeps our choir going for all these years, is not just the singing, the enjoyment of singing, but the ability to give back to our community makes all of our members feel great. One email I received after Sunday's concerts, I would like to read to you. Dear Verna, I want to tell you and the rest of the ladies how good it was to see the Golden Airs up and going after COVID. It was great to see the familiar faces and some new ones too. You have a very able leader in Cheryl Ross, and I wish her and all of you the greatest success and happy singing. I miss being there with you. All but age is presenting a few challenges and the voice is rusty. So I shall just attend and enjoy your music presentations and sing along in my head. Thank you for your Sunday's concert. It did my heart good. Signed, ever a Golden Air at heart, Marglow. I end with a quote I used in the well-being plan. Singing has been shown to improve our sense of happiness and well-being. Singing is good for both those who sing and those who listen. Music and singing makes the heart happy. What else do I need to say? Sandy and I will entertain, not by singing, any questions you may have. And if not, we appreciate your attentiveness in listening to this presentation. We ask you mark your calendar for our next Sunday concert on December 3rd at 2 p.m. at the Meaford United Church, one of the best venues in Meaford for various community events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Questions from the council? Don't see any, which just means that we're very satisfied with your performance and
Sandy,
all you do.
Then can Sandy sing?
So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Next, the Eat Local Grey Bruce Cooperative Inc. We have a spokesperson there.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Steve with Eat Local. I'm the general manager of Eat Local. And this is Jen. Jen's on our board of directors and as our treasurer. So thanks for having us here. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we do. Eat Local is a not-for-profit co-op that tries to connect local eaters with local food producers and food growers. So essentially, we're a grocery service that aims to get local farms, the food from local farms to local eaters. We do this with an online ordering system. People can order their food weekly, and then we deliver it to locations all across Grey and Bruce County. We have a pretty wide area service. What we're looking to do with this bursary is to make sure we're servicing people that might not be able to access what we do for various means. We're looking to help people offset cost of the delivery. We have to charge a delivery fee. So we'd like to offset some of that cost for people who may have mobility issues or issues of receiving a delivery or coming to us to get it. As well, we'd like to offer our grocery services to people using money from this fund. So we've done similar things with other organizations where they'll provide us with a grant amount or a bursary amount or amount, and then working in cooperation with them, we'll provide some of those funds to people to do their shopping through us each week. So it's a great cooperative program in that people who might be underserved or under needs can access the local food we're providing. So big picture, what we're trying to do is make a more sustainable local eating system. And I think after the past couple of years, we can see why having access to good local food can be a benefit for everyone in the community. Happy to answer any questions or anything you want to know about what we do and who we are.
Questions around? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for your presentation, Steve. I have, I guess, a little bit of a sensitive question for
Sure.
you. Eat Local Grey Bruce presented to Grey County Council a few months ago when you were in a state of
Financial- yeah.
risk, may I say, that you were uncertain of your future.
Mhm.
Would you share with us as best you can how you feel you are in terms of sustainability and stability now moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, for some perspective on that, Eat Local grew really big during the pandemic. We doubled in size over the pandemic because people wanted home delivery. And coming out of that, we grew to serve those needs. And coming out of the pandemic, as that started to drop off, we also were forced to move from our building in Owen Sound over here to Meaford. And we have a place at SCP Properties, which has been really great. And in the fall of last year, it was at a point where either the organization was going to shut down or there needed to be some funds brought in. And the organization did a fundraising drive that raised $130,000 through our membership, donations, a variety of things to stabilize the organization. A new board of directors was brought on that point, and part of that was some more financial oversight within the board. We have a controller as well, who's keeping a tight eye on things. In the end of March, they opened up a position for a general manager. I applied for that at the start of April, and came on board about 3 weeks ago. We just shipped our first batch of orders last week. In the first 2 weeks of sales, we've done about 15,000 sales. So we're happy with that. Obviously, we have some big steps to go. Margin is an important thing, and we're keeping an eye on that weekly to make sure we're hitting those goals, and then growth. So there are some concerns. I'm not going to deny that, but we're stable right now thanks to that fundraising we did. And we're very conscious of where we are right now and the numbers and the margins and growth we need to hit going forward for it to be sustainable.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Steve and Jen. Appreciate
Thank you so
that.
much.
The Optimist Club of Sydenham and District, are they here?
Thanks, Your Worship. They are actually, because of work constraints, not able to come till 3:30. So they, I see our clerk is here,
Okay.
and maybe we
And
want to just.
What about kids in the Meaford Hall Arts Society?
So we haven't heard from them. So I'm not sure that they are attending, as we haven't
Okay.
heard
Okay.
either way from them, and they should be here by now.
So then you're suggesting we have a recess until the final group comes, or should we perhaps move on to discussion of the
I think we can do whatever council would like to do. We can either recess for 15 minutes and hopefully they're here promptly, if not a few minutes before. If not, I think we can start going down the list and allocating funds, and then when they arrive, we can pause that and hear their presentation and move from there. Whatever you as council would prefer.
I think, given as this is our second day at this, I think people would like to, and then they had another meeting last night. So I think that lest we tire members of council out too much, I think we'll get on with the business then. So I think over to you, Matt, if you have any suggestions of how you'd like this to go.
Yes, indeed. I have on my screen, that is also coming onto your screens, a copy of the spreadsheet with some additional columns. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how I make this small. I actually see things. And what I thought we would do is basically go down the list from top to bottom, starting with the first presentation you heard yesterday and ending with the last one that you do here, or actually ending with the couple that have not been able to be here. If it works for the Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just do this as a conversation and try and get to some consensus on the amounts for each of these spokes. The box in yellow in the top right-hand corner on the screen, that will keep a running total of what has been allocated and will stay on the screen. What I would say if we're going to do it this way is not to worry too much if we go a little over or a little under and things, because we can also go back and tidy it up at the end. We don't need a motion for each one of these. We'll do the list and then at the end we'll say a motion to pass as presented. Obviously, I know a number of you are going to have to declare for a number of these groups. So when we get to that one, if you'd just like to tell us, Margaret will note it in the minutes at that point. And then I think, as Councillor Uhrig mentioned yesterday from the Integrity Commissioner, just sort of push back from the table and let that conversation happen and then come back. I think that'll be easier than having to get up and even move out into the audience or go next door, because there's going to be quite a few of these, I suspect. Not looking at anybody in particular, Councillor Uhrig.
I think it might be worthwhile pointing out at the very outset for those watching that we had 29 applications, and if all were to receive the full $4,000, we would have spent over $83,000, which is more than half of our budget. So I think it's just good to alert people to the reality of the funds that we have to disperse.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that's really important. It is within your decision as council as to how you want to deal with that. You could obviously pick ones that you want to give full amount to and some that you want to give zero to. You could split everybody's in half and just do this in 10 minutes. You could and so pretty much anything we can do here is easy. So, I think once we call out each name, if there's a declaration, we'll take the declaration and then just please somebody make a suggestion. I know in the past, Councillor Bartley has had an idea or two about the starting point for these.
Does anybody, just before we start that process, does anybody have a comment on the process? Yes, Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. Just should we let the people in the audience know they're quite welcome to stay? This could take an hour or so. You're not required to stay.
Absolutely, yes.
FYI.
Open meeting, but not required.
And Councillor Bell.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to just say to the public what I mentioned to yourself in private. I'm absolutely impressed with the heartbeat of this municipality in every group that has come forward and how they have a desire to give and to give back. And it's really going to be something when we hear their name, hear the group, and then we're just constrained by the mathematics. And I want them all to know that when they took the time to fill in an application and to submit it, all applications are all worthy in my mind, every single one of them. And it's going to be tough on us to do, and I know we'll do it, but I just want to say thanks to the ones that presented yesterday and earlier today. It just makes the municipality of Meaford a better place to live in.
You're here. Any other comments? Okay, then go ahead, Mr. Kirk.
Thank you. Okay, so starting at the top, Group A, and the first presentation you heard yesterday was the Meaford and St Vincent Agricultural Society, and they have requested $2,000 per year.
Just say something about it right now.
Yes, but with mics, please, as we are still streaming.
I've participated, I know others have for a long time, and I'm happy to start at $1,000 of their request to help them out with what they're doing.
Deputy Mayor.
May I suggest that last year we gave the Ag Society $1,800, so I'd like to propose we give them the full $2,000 this year.
And actually, were you suggesting that we dump the formality, that you don't have to go through the chair to make a comment?
I
Yeah.
think that's probably going to be easiest if that works for you.
Happy, you don't have to address your worship.
Yeah, so I'm on the, I understand Tony's thoughts, but I'm with Shirley. We give them 1,800 last year. They're, if we cut them to 1,000, we're cutting their funding. I had them down for 2,000.
I also agree with that. And when we look at the list of applications, there's not a lot that are supporting agriculture in this municipality. So I think it's really important that we show that that sign of support.
I think this is the only one that I had quite this high, but I had $2,000 in.
I had 1,750, but I agree with everyone, the majority, in saying the 2,000 is definitely reasonable, especially 1,800 last year. So I think it's still well worth supporting the Ag Society.
So unless there is any violent objection from Councillor Bell, I'll put 2,000 in the box and we'll move on to the Big Canoe Project, who've asked for $4,000. I feel like an auctioneer.
So the Big Canoe project to me is, it's a great project. It's not a nonprofit. They're in for profit. And what bothered me is they can take the same 10 people out every week all year. So we're supporting 10 people canoe ride. I wasn't, they got $75 last year and I had them down for $500.
If they are a profit-making organization, and I don't know that, I don't have that information in front of me, then that doesn't fit in with the policy, which is for non-profits and community groups. I think that can be changeable depending on what the project specifically is, if the money is very clearly going to a not-for-profit element of the business, but I think it is something worth bearing in mind that, you know, this isn't designed to support a commercial operation.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just note that on their application form, they did say that they did check yes to, is your organization a registered charity, not for profit or volunteer based group? So I just wanted to note that.
Yeah. And I would also say they did outline some things they do that do align with our safety and well-being, study. So.
And I believe they were specifically requesting funds to support the Thursday night paddles, which they're offering for free. And I recognize that they could take the same 10 people, but I would agree with your suggestion of $500, Councillor Bartley.
Go ahead.
Don't have too much to offer in terms of commentary, other than I do agree with $500. I think that's reasonable.
I think just so that we do keep moving, if we've got a couple of people with the same sort of figure, I don't think we all need to say yes. And if there's a big no, then let's carry on. But otherwise, we'll keep moving. So otherwise, I think if 7 of you want to speak every time, then we might be here till 7 tonight. I don't think any of us want that. So next up, Meaford 55 Plus Friendship Club, $4,000.
We give them 3,000 last year, and I was going to give them the 3,000 this year.
I see nods. Next up is Crime Stoppers of Grey Bruce. They've asked for 2,500.
I didn't see the report, but they've got $500 from most municipalities. So we give them 500 last year. I was either going to stay at 500 or 1,000. But the other municipalities were giving them 500.
That's certainly been relatively standard over the past few years. Yeah.
500 or 1,000.
500.
Last one of the first group that you heard yesterday, the Meaford Creative Arts Association, have asked for $1,500 a year.
And I would suggest we give them 1,500. They really support seniors and Meaford Hall.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, we give them 500 last year. I had 1,000. So
So a couple of different options there. Any further comments?
$12.50.
I'm fine with 15. I think they're a worthwhile event as well for seniors, and I had 1,000 as well, but I can go with 1,500 as well.
We'll do that 1,500 for now then. Okay, Meaford Food Bank and Outreach have asked for $4,000.
Give them 1,000 last year. I had them down for 2.
And I think considering we heard a 200% increase in the clientele at the food bank and recognizing 47% more clients, I'm sorry, 200% more people, 56% increase in pounds of food, I was going to say go for 4,000. It's food insecurity in our own community. We have to take care of our own.
And I'll totally back that up. People's lives depend on food stability and things of this nature, particularly children. And I know for a fact how important this food bank is to this municipality. So I totally back up what Deputy Mayor is saying.
I had put the full 4,000 in myself there.
Ditto.
I had 3.
As I say, if we hit a magic number too early, we can always go back and do some amendments on this. I'll put the 4,000 in next. I think that sounds like the majority view. Meaford Lawn Bowling Club was next for 4,000 a year as well.
Last year we gave them 750. I had them at 1,000.
Same here.
It's easy. Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Grey and Bruce, $4,000.
We give them 1,500 last year. I was giving them 1,500 this year.
Yes,
agreed.
Christmas on the Bay, you have asked for $3,000. Councillor Urick declares.
This is their first year and I had them down for 2.
I had 2,000.
Okay, I had 1 because I was thinking we'd sponsor the signage, but I'm not opposed to 2.
I also had 1,000.
Yeah, I said 1,000.
One's gone off. We're about half and half between 1,000 and 2,000. Any further comments?
You know what? This is just his second year, hugely successful in the first year. And I think let's make sure that it's successful this year as well. So I would go for the 2.
Okay, so then after the first couple of batches, we're up to 16,000 of the 40, which is about right, I think. C1 was Backpacks for Learning at GBCS. They've also asked for 4,000.
We give them 1,000 last year. It's absolutely wonderful what Amy's doing there. I had them down for 2, but I could saw off anywhere in there.
Yeah, I would support 2,000. I know Amy does get support from other organizations, but again, coming back to food insecurity in our own community, I would go for 2,000.
And she's in a unique position to know where the need is.
I had them down for 25. Amy's been coming to us for a number of years. I know when this started, I think it was, $500, $700. Well, obviously we all know how much the demand has changed in the last just 3 or 4 years. So I suggested 25.
I had 2,000 down as well.
I'm not opposed to 2,500. The 2 is fine with me as well. Amy had remarked that it's costing $1,200 a month during the school year at the current support level. I know that there might be funding from other sources as well, but these are children and their education is dependent on their ability to actually be present in school. So I think that we need to show a good sign of support. So I could certainly agree with 2,500, but if the rest of council thinks 2,000, I'll support that as well.
Let's put 2,500 in for now then, shall we?
Okay. United Way of Grey Bruce have also requested the maximum of $4,000 per year.
Give them 2 last year. I had them down for 2 again this year.
Yes.
Seeing no objections, we'll carry on. Bognor Canada Day Committee, 2,500.
I recommend the full amount, 2,500.
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay. The Meaford Pickleball Club, $4,000.
Last year we gave them 500. I was going to 1,000 this year.
Sounds reasonable.
And then My Friend's House, they've also asked for 4,000.
Now, do we know? It was based in Collingwood, but they're going to open a place in Meaford, or they're thinking about opening a place in Meaford?
The fact they're getting 222 calls in Meaford in 2022, there's a lot of demand here, so they want to. There's no concrete plans, but they definitely want to, but there's also a lot of demand now in Meaford for this. So I added 15 instead of 1,000. I added 1,500 instead of 1,000.
Yeah, so they asked her for 4. I was giving them 2. As long as you can't make them open in Meaford, but I hope that happens.
And I had 15.
My understanding was the funds would be used for transportation to take women from Meaford to Collingwood. So I was thinking 1,500.
And or transportation for people from Collingwood to come and meet with them here in Meaford. It was both ways.
I had a conversation with her after her presentation yesterday, and I don't know, she didn't tell me who they're negotiating with, but they seem fairly certain that they have accommodation in Meaford, and I suggested an alternative in the event that anything happened to that. I think they're very anxious to actually provide programming here in Meaford, and I favor something around 2.
I think this is a good example of an organization that, you know, when we send out the money each year, we don't send out a check blind. We get in touch with them and make sure they're still operating and active. And so making sure that the organizations are doing things in the municipality. And I think, you know, to Deputy Mayor's comment about transportation, it doesn't necessarily have to be a building here for them to provide services. And
So, yeah, okay.
We'll start with 2 and see where we end up.
Now, just FYI, the way I'm calculating it, we're about 2,500 over what we're going to end up with as we talk, but carry on.
Next up is Sweetwater Music Festival, who've asked for $2,350 a year.
$1,850 last year. I was saying 1,500. They only asked for 2,350, but I think 1,500 was fair.
I'll agree with Councillor Uhrig, especially since they've already secured almost $24,000 in funding already.
I had 1,000.
Okay, I am told and see movement behind me that the Optimist Club have joined us, so perhaps we could pause here and hear their presentation, and then we'll get back to this.
Very prompt.
So this is the Optimist Club of Sydenham District, and
Yes,
if you just give us your name and
Katie Holovacki.
Katie, and you've got 5 minutes. The
Sure.
floor is yours.
So I'm the president of the Optimist Club. I have been for 3 years now. So just a quick history on the club. We've been around since 1999, and I believe Canada Day celebrations have been done by the club for roughly dating back to 1999, if not thereabouts. So we're requesting money for the Canada Day celebration in Annan. And it's a community event that is free for everyone. We always have a good turnout, so about 400 to 500 people. And we do it on June 30th so that we're not interfering with the municipality of Meaford celebrations in town. And also Bognor does fireworks on July 1st. So that means we can't access the Government of Canada funding. So we do rely on, or have in the past few years relied on the funding provided through the Bursary with Meaford. So our club has really grown and evolved, especially in the last 10 years or so that I've been there. We put in a playground at Haibu Conservation Area. We're currently in discussions with doing a splash pad project in Meaford. And we do lots of other smaller, I guess, events. We're involved with Christmas on the Bay and doing a diversity piece for that. Specifically, the Canada Day celebration, it's evolved as well. So we now have a Junior Optimist Club, and they sort of grew out of the volunteers that always helped with Canada Day. So it was sort of my kids and their friends. So we've grown that to include, we've got several young people from the newcomer community and lots of just kind of representing all different interests for young people. So they've been amazing. They've been around for 3 years now and have raised over and donated back into the community over $35,000. So our mission is always to support youth in our community, bring out the best in youth is our mission. And our Junior Optimist Club has really brought that to life in a different way. So they're involved with Canada Day. They always have been. They provide, so they get to do some volunteer work at the Canada Day event and promote just the idea of volunteering in the community to other youth. We do have partnerships with other organizations. So the Intertownship Fire Department comes out both for safety, but also as sort of a showcase of the fire truck. Mawikwadong had a voice in last year's event for the first time, but we will continue that along this year as we do a land acknowledgement, of course, but we also have a Reconciliation Rocks activity that the Junior Optimists oversee. So the rocks are painted by kids at the event and then brought on September 30th to the garden down by Kelso Beach. And they had an event that, well, they always have an event there on September 30th, but the kids, our Junior Optimists, were there to place the Reconciliation Rocks. And also our Junior Optimist member who did the land acknowledgement also did a speech at the event too. So just lots of kind of different ways that it branches out from just that Canada Day event. And just ties in with well-being in a lot of ways in terms of mental health after the pandemic. And while we're still a little bit in the pandemic, our kids that are participating get a chance to see that they can do good for others, but also all of the, it's families. It's primarily families that come out to the event. So they also see that they can participate in something where it's free for everyone and they can make connections with neighbors and just enjoy the show, live music. There's food for sale, but we keep the price low. And then also we have cupcakes at the end of the night. So there's free food as well. People are allowed to bring their own food if they want. We're making it accessible. We have an accessible washroom coming. So we've partnered with a washroom company that's going to provide that at a discount. Yeah, so it's probably 5 minutes, but I could keep going. I could talk about the Optimist Club forever, but yeah, we're just.
Thank you, Katie. Does anyone have any questions for her? Deputy Mayor Keaveney?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a comment. Katie, I'm so glad that you've come to speak to us today because it's really inspiring to hear that your Optimist Club is growing and that you've been able to add a junior component in a time where we know that service clubs in many cases are struggling. I mean, we lost 2 in Meaford last year.
Yes.
And to hear your success is really, really wonderful. And you do a great job at your Canada Day event. It really does kick off the Canada Day celebrations when you do it the evening before. So I just wanted to say thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for that.
And I'd like to just add, it's clear that, you are embracing the whole municipality of Meaford, you're just not about your own backyard.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kentner. And again, thank you for coming today. It warms my heart that you're not just doing it for the Annan area. You're talking about the splash pad in Meaford. I helped flip burgers last year at your event. I hope you allow me to do it this year.
Yes, I should have emphasized that we do bring in volunteers from outside of the club as well. So, and we much appreciate that participation and that just coming together of community. I mean, it's the whole reason I joined the Optimist Club was 10 years ago. I went to a Canada Day event. My kids were little. all the games, I should have mentioned that all the games are free. So we have prizes and games for kids that are free. We're trying to be more environmentally friendly instead of making slime, but lots of different, they were painting other rocks last year. So they didn't just do the reconciliation rocks. There was other rock painting. There was like toilet paper rolls that they made little streamer things out of. So yeah, it's just sort of I felt that community when I went to that first Canada Day, and so grateful that I was saying like, who's doing this? I thought this was so great. And they invited me to join the club, which I had never anticipated, not really wanted at the time, but anyways, and now here I am, I'm the president of the club, so. We're going to look for a new member this year to be a president.
Well, thanks again very much. Now you're welcome to stay, or you're free to go. We are deliberating now. We've heard from about, I want to say 27 or 8 organizations. So we've got a lot of hard work ahead here.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking your time, valuable time to do all of this too, because I'm sure it's not easy. I might stick around for just a little bit.
So where were we?
Okay, back to the list. We just allocated $1,500 to Sweetwater Music Festival, which brings us to the Georgian Bay Coyotes Track Club, who've requested $1,500 for the year.
650 last year. I had them at 1,000 this year. They're a great, they represent Meaford very well across the province.
Agreed.
I agree.
I would have gone 15.
The Meaford Theatre Company comes next. They've asked for $2,000.
I had equaling the 15 last year. They've really done a lot of good things, and again, spending out to Woodford and doing the hall is great. So I was trying to equal that out.
Yeah, I think that's another great success story.
Yeah.
Right, $1,500 in that box then, which brings us to Viva Variety, $4,000.
I had them 1,000, and it's you can't do this, a prerequisite that they do a show here.
I think we can put a condition on the money, because I think it does. I actually don't know what this organization does. I didn't look at this application, but I think if it's something that is about a show and therefore it needs to be in the municipality, I think we can say that.
It's an inclusive dance music variety show, compared to Ed Sullivan earlier. And they do 4 shows in Collingwood. They want to do 1 or 2 in Meaford. So as long as they do 1 in Meaford, I would support them with $1,000.
I agree.
Thank you for the update, Councillor Barley. Thank you for the update. The next one is Rotary Club of Meaford for the Rotary House Committee, $3,400. I see Deputy Mayor is stepping back to declare her interest.
I don't think we give them anything last year, or at least I couldn't find anything. So I had them down for 3,000. They've got a total of 4,000 here, 2 different requests. So I had them for 3.
I don't think anybody can argue the benefit of the Rotary Club to our municipality. I had them 25 and 5.
I was going to ask whether your 3 was a combination. If you're combining, I agree with the 3.
There was a stipulation in that money was not to go for marketing. And I know that was part of the pitch, that they because they're trying to find the best way of marketing this project. And I think that's a little different than just spending money on marketing. But anyway, that's the only caveat I have.
I think, again, this is one of those interpretation moments. I think when we put restrictions into policy about things like marketing, we're saying, you putting money in the paper to get more people to buy tickets to your event, and therefore do you really need the money because the ticket money is going to pay for that, and so on. In this case, where the marketing is presumably to get information to people who need the service. Or who can come and purchase things that will then mean we can give the service. I think that's probably a little bit different. And obviously you guys can decide how that fits.
I'm good with whatever the,
So 2,500 for Rotary House and 500 for greening. Is that what I heard? Yeah. Christchurch Anglican come next for $2,000.
We had them for 12 last year, two different things, and I had them for 1,000.
So did I.
Seeing no objections, we'll move to the Culture Foundation, who've asked for $4,000 and Councillor Urick has declared. And Councillor Forder has as well. So just saying Councillor Forder has declared as well.
So we give them 2,000 last year, I had them for 2,000 this year.
Agreed.
Seeing nods, we'll carry on. So next up comes a group that you didn't hear from today, but you've seen their application, Kids in the Meaford Hall Arts Society. They didn't specify the amount that they would like.
and they indicated they had funding for 23 in the bank. So they just want for 24, 25, and 26.
I'll look to Margaret for that one. Yeah.
Did I misread that? That's what I thought they asked for.
Through your worship, it does say is the funds requested currently ready for presentations in 2023, but remainder of grant period, we will need funding annually. Pre-Christmas presentations in Meaford Hall to all school-aged children in the area. So I think we had interpreted that as the request for money in general, but with no specific amount. And I'm not sure. I guess it sounds like they had said not necessary in 2023 to your point, but
yes, that's my point.
There's been a lot of uncertainty with this group because normally they do come to MCF for funding and which does really prefer this event happens, but we haven't really heard a lot from them. So it's a little bit up in the air still. If they are going to carry on, I had 1,000, but I'm sure hoping that that's going to take place.
Are they in competition with the group from Woodford now? Because they tried to get kids involved, or is it?
A theater production involving children, primarily elementary, it can be secondary, but primarily elementary, and every usually Christmas or late fall, they have put on like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or something to that effect as a play. As far as I know, and I know very little recently about the group, they are wanting to get back and renew this annual event. They did this for likely 79 years before COVID shut a lot of things down.
So I did have 1,000 down for them, same as Rob.
I'll let you know as well on that, because on their presentation, they said they do work kind of in concert with. Their last sentence was, we continue to help with the production of the Meaford Theatre Company at Woodford Hall, particularly in the youth and theatre activities. So there is a bit of overlap.
Okay. Next one is Beautiful Joe Heritage Society, who also don't have a specific amount listed.
We had them for 1,000 last year. I had them for 1,250 this year.
1,000 last year, I left them at 1,000. Because we're going to be over here shortly.
So I've had one slightly under, one slightly over, and two at 1,000. So do we take the middle?
I'd say so.
Okay. The Golden Heirs come next, who asked for $4,000 a year. And the Deputy Mayor has declared for the benefit of those watching.
I had them for 1,000 again this year, same as last year.
Also, I.
Seeing nods. E-Local Grey Bruce Cooperative Inc., $2,500.
I put them down for 1,000.
Agreed.
The Optimist Club of Cinnamon District have requested $3,000.
I'd like to treat them the same as Bogner, 2,500.
I agree.
And then one organization that was unable to present over the last couple of days is Electric Eclectics, who've asked for $2,500.
Can we have an education on what that is about? I do forget.
So this is a music festival on a farm in the west of the municipality, I believe. Brings in music that's perhaps less traditional, and has people come to the campsite and so on. I think they bring in performers with sometimes from across the world as well as locally.
Through your worship, if you'd like a little bit more to just add to Matt, it does say we present a 2-day concert weekend each summer at our farm on Scotch Mountain. They also summarize some outreach programming, including a music workshop organized in collaboration with the Meaford Public Library in August, and some other promotional activities that are outreach activities in the area in Owen Sound, and live streaming some events for presenters.
It's actually, I have never been there, but it is quite a large undertaking. They have $66,000 in grants. But I understand the economic impact is around $250,000, a lot of it on the municipality of Meaford. So.
Yeah, I did go out to it once, and it is definitely alternative music. Quite unlike the Golden Airs, but a very interesting experience. And I could see that they do draw people from quite a long distance. And I do appreciate there's a huge amount of effort goes into organizing this event. So I was going to suggest 1,000.
I had 1,000.
I'd certainly go $1,000. I think they've been going for something like 17 years, and it's the venue likely has one of the best viewscapes of any place in our municipality. It's really strange. I think they've been slowly strengthening their numbers, and it's very interesting. It's kind of strange that I've never heard any council members ever say they've actually been to one of these festivals, but they must be doing something right.
I think there's an increasing trend to remix other forms of music into electronica right now. So maybe there's hope for collaboration with the Golden Airs.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mayor Kettner. So now we have the dilemma, we're overspent. And I really don't want to cut anything out of this. And I have a plan next Monday, looking at Monday's agenda, to come up with the extra money. I would also like to ask the clerk, is it possible to get a report, not right now, on what the other municipalities spend on this sort of venture? Because we had it at one time, and I've watched some of them. Some are spending zero, some are spending more than us. I'd like to know.
We can certainly ask the question. I mean, it's fairly easy for Margaret and I to get in touch with the other clerks and find out. I think you're exactly right, though. I think some are not doing this sort of thing at all. Some are doing it on a very ad hoc basis when groups show up. Some have a fund like we do. And I suspect one or two are doing more, but I think ours is pretty high up there.
And I understand that. And I'm going to echo what Councillor Bell said. Just to look at this group of people, and all they want to do is help the municipality. And even though they're not getting what they asked for, they're getting more than we've got. And I can come up with that difference on Monday.
It's funny, as we were sitting here and the number kept ticking up, I thought somebody's going to ask me if we can find more money.
Councillor Greenfield.
If I may, I see immediately a couple of options for this. We can revisit our amounts and whittle it down by about 10%, which doesn't seem impossible. But through you, your worship, to Mr. Smith, I understand Ms. Wilton C. Gale has just published our agenda for Monday. And it appears as if our municipality has come through last year with a fairly reasonable surplus. And I'm just wondering if indeed we were fixed on this 44.5, if there's any chance of using some of that surplus money from last year after a complete discussion, of course, could it be designated to this this extra $4,500?
So I suspect that was Councillor Bartley's secret plan for Monday.
That was the short form.
The answer is yes. Surplus is something that you as council can allocate in the way that you see fit best. What we would have to look at if we were looking at that was whether you were allocating 44,500 from the surplus to cover this year and then budgeting higher next year, or whether you were wanting to take 18,000 of the surplus to be able to cover the additional money in all 4 of the years of your term of council, because obviously those are different things. You would be, if you want to increase the amount you're donating, you're committing your budget to be higher in the next 3 years.
I was going to suggest on Monday and that 20,000 would go towards this program, which would be all 4 years and would leave us a little cushion.
So the way that I think I would do that, because we're going to have to pass a motion in a moment to say that we want to award these grants, is that the motion on the agenda says that Council of the Municipality of Meaford award Community Wellbeing Bursary awards in the following amounts TBD, and the following amounts are what's on the spreadsheet. I think in order to do this right so that we didn't have an impact on the budget, I would like to suggest that we add funding to it today. So if somebody would like to bring a motion that said to amend this main motion and that the difference be funded for the entire term of council from the 2022 surplus, I think we could make that work fairly easily.
I would certainly bring the motion forward or second it if Harley wants to bring it forward.
Okay. What we should have done before we made the amendment motion is put the actual first motion on the table, and that's my fault. So I assume somebody's willing to move and second that we'll actually award all of these. Margaret will choose some names. Okay, so so now we have an amendment on the floor that we will issue $44,500 worth of grants for this, and that the remainder will be made up from the 2022 surplus. Does anybody want to discuss that proposed amendment? In that case, I'll leave it to the mayor to call the vote.
Yep. And I don't think we need to record a vote either.
Just to call the vote, yeah.
All in favor. And that's unanimous.
Okay, so we've got the extra funding. So now we go back to the main motion, which is to award these grants as are listed on the spreadsheet that is on the screen, although you can only see the very bottom of it.
Do we need a mover and seconder?
So we got one of those. So we're good just to vote if everybody's ready.
Sorry,
we did have a mover and a seconder a moment ago, so we're ready to vote if everybody, unless anybody's got any discussion.
All in favor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very helpful. So I think we have just a little more business to do. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll while they're exiting, we'll move on to motions for decision.
That was what we've just.
That's what we just did. So we are ready to adjourn. Sorry.
Yep. So we're ready to adjourn.
Okay. Nothing more than meeting adjourned.
If anybody would like another